Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I'm Heena Goswami, Editorial Consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies in Politics, New Delhi. As the race for Lok Sabha polls 2024 intensifies, we check with Liz Mathew how the opposition parties are doing. A prominent journalist, Liz Mathew is presently deputy editor with the Indian Express, one of India's leading newspapers. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talks, Liz.
Thank you.
So, in the recent parliament session, a total of 146 MPs were suspended. As the ruling party holds the majority, the bills that were stipulated to be passed could have been passed without convincing the opposition of the need to do so, right? So, why then did the ruling party thought it pertinent to suspend the members?
See, ruling party's official version is that they want to bring discipline to the house. In the new house, they don't want any MPs to come to the well or shout, or even that can be forgiven. But no display of posters or shouting slogans like that. That is the officially they are saying. But are in the new building, and there was a kind of a consensus according to them. All the party leaders had agreed to follow the new, the new rules that basically its own party MPs would be refraining from coming to the well, or like if it is not very necessary, or no display of banners. But if you, I am someone who sits in like Lok Sabha, so in the press gallery, in this house, BJP MP, there were at least one occasion I remember BJP MPs were displaying newspapers when it came to some an issue in Jharkhand issue, and when the non BJP ruled state MPs usually do that. So of course that was not the reason. Uh, One thing, like you said, of course, the BJP has the numbers to push the bills, and there were not many opposition for this in any of the bills which they passed, including the changes in the criminal code, or I mean the one which were replaced. But it is increasingly what we have seen, that this show of this, the majority, that the party keeps talking about majority, and democracy, in their version, it is just the majority. It's like that what we have been following is, in a democratic parliamentary system, the number matters only when it comes to like government formation and election. After that, in a parliamentary party and in a democratic process, people try to take everyone along, and a consensus they try to form when it comes to major changes, major, because as we know, these criminal code changes, like that's not a very minor thing, or it's not just one bill which affect a section of people or something. It is something which is overhauling the system, the system we have, the criminal codes we have, and still the ruling party didn't think that it was necessary to get everybody along or take everybody's view or make. Of course, their argument, the contention is that the bills were discussed in the standing committee, threadbare discussions, and there was changes suggested, and most of the changes were accepted. Some of the changes were accepted. That is why they had to bring in a new bill and get it passed by the cabinet and all. But still, there, I mean, what we have been seeing, like for it, when it comes to the productivity, in a democratic, in a parliamentary system, the productivity just doesn't mean the time the house sits. It also means the kind of discussions happen, the debates happen, how you have incorporated the other side of the view, view, and but nothing of this sort has been followed for some time in Parliament. I am someone who has been covering Parliament for 28 years. I can see the change. I would just say one line: the parliament shape itself, has changed from round to, like, that round shape to another one, where the round shape has its own, like, you cannot miss the other person. You'll come back to that person, but here you can escape the one person, the other person, if you don't want. That is actually being followed. It is something the ruling party could have done more gracefully, more democratically, but they didn't follow it.
This was, it feels like, the season of suspension and expulsions. And when a particular MP from Trinamool, Mahua Moitra, was expelled, the whole opposition rallied behind the expelled MP. So, do you think what is happening inside the parliament is doing more to unite the opposition rather than anything else that happens outside?
See, that is, like, I won't say something very emphatically here, because their unity and their decision, or their determination to be united, will be visible only in the Lok Sabha election. We should wait for them to see whether they are coming together on one particular platform and with a particular agenda and on a particular case. But here, having said that, I must say that these are see, any coalition process, it happens, like, as we know, like, the major coalitions are NDA and UPA. Even there, before that, there was a United Front. Even there is, like, a lot of differences are there, ideological differences are there. DMK was a part of BJP coalition at one point of time. TMC was part of BJP coalition, although ideologically they are, worlds apart. And so, a coalition works for election and a government formation. If a coalition government is there, how a coalition works, like UPA, we have seen UPA parties were in 2004, they were not together. UPA came into came into existence only post election, like 2004. The election, 2004 election, they fought separately, but they came together. But they ran the government very successfully. They did a lot of steps. Of course, there were, like, hiccups, there were differences, there were bickerings, but they came up with a lot of changes in the league. Many important bill, economically important, and they passed, and they worked together. They own a common minimum program. So even NDA, Vajpayee's NDA, it was a umbrella, it's a coming together of very different ideology. Or none of these parties were in favor of the BJP ideology that time, but still it worked. Vajpayee could rule the India could rule the country for, like, 4.5 years, like, almost, and the elections they called early, otherwise they would have completed the entire 5-year term. So, what I said was, like, a coalition or a platform, a united platform's existence and their relevance and their effectiveness would come to know only if during the election, whether the ticket distribution, the seat sharing, these things will be in, like, without. Of course, there will be bickering. Of course, there will be statements. Of course, there will be public fight. But whether they are able to consolidate this so-called this is anti-BJP forum under one umbrella. That's the main thing. But here there is another issue. Like, here, they don't have, so far, they don't have a specific agenda. Anti-Modi is not an agenda. It's like, it's not an agenda to govern a country. Agenda to govern a country like India, where there are a lot of, there are diverse views, diverse ideology, diverse issues. Everything is different. So they need to have a common agenda and a common program. What they want to do, like, what they want to do, different from the existing system, and what are they offering people. What are they telling people? Okay, if we come to power, we'll do it. They have not yet, come out with any such positive agenda so far. That's one concern here. And where and there is a leader, I mean, I know in the past, like, in the when the United Front came in place, there was no question of like who one leader. The way people thinking, the way that the people's way of thinking was different. But it's not like that, world across, if one personality, slightly personality oriented politics happening, like in the, I mean, of course, US election is as a presidential form of thing. Even in other countries, like even UK or some other democratic parliamentary system, we say that, the leader is important. So here the question is like, you know, and in contrast, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a very tall figure, and who has such, who's charismatic, who's popular, who's accepted, who has cut across the transcended the divisive lines in the society, and who's there to, and even for people, to look at an alternative, you need to have a leader. So these two major factors are missing in this forum. So of course, you cannot say that. And in parliament it is different, parliament, inside parliament it is different. You get one. Here there was an issue, an opposition MP who's been vocal against one, prime minister, or it's his policies, or the BJP is getting expelled, so they got together. It is not like an election. The area is different, that's why.
So, part of my next question is already answered, but I'll still ask, where do Congress and its ally stand today in the race to the Lok Sabha elections? And is the India alliance a house so divided against and so chaotic that it is bound to fail? Or do you think there might be surprises along the way?
See, I won't say bound to fail. And like I said, in the past, we have seen, even before 2004, we have seen parties coming together, United Front coming together, and ruling the country, not for complete, like 5 years, but at least they were like, I think 2 years or 18 months, they were together, they ran the government, and there were like meetings, pulls, pushes, everything was there. And democracy matured a bit in 2004, like I said, 2004 to 2009 is one period India has taken a lot of steps in terms of economic growth and, development, infrastructure development and all. And some major changes also happened. Of course, 2009 to 14 was more troublesome because of the scams and other issues. So it was, it was not because of the coalition politics. It was more of like issues within a party, and the corruption, and how corruption was used by the opposition. All those things were also, we have to take into account when you kind of assess the performance of the UPA too. As we know, UPA 1 and UPA has Food Security Act, NREGA, RTI, RTE. Those steps which you see on the ground, the change in the way India's, the rural economy has changed, has come into in place, during that time. So you cannot say it is going to, but did nobody expected UPA to be a success, and come back to power, in 2009. And that also Congress with more numbers, 207 was their tally in 2009. So you cannot say bound to fail. But again, when you look at the current political scenario, like I said in the beginning, what they lack is a common agenda, an alternative a model of governance to offer to the electorate, and also a leader. These two are missing. So I wouldn't, but even then, state wise, if you're taking, I was just talking to a very senior BJP leader. So he said that, it is not easy. You cannot just see, of course, the election is going to be on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, his popularity, his governance, Hindutva, development, India's image at the international. All these things are correct. But in state wise, for example, Bihar is one state the BJP is expecting to do very good. BJP expects that, last time they had to part a number of seats to JDU. This time they would be have only small allies and all. So they will even if like they might lose a few seats in Karnataka or some other state, because it is a saturation point. They are trying to make it up in states like UP and Bihar and all. But even then, JDU, Congress and RJD, JDU, Congress together is a force. Is a force that the BJP cannot ignore. When you take the caste combination, all those factors, if you are all these points, if you're factoring in, it is a force that they have to be very cautious about. I'm talking about BJP, and it is not easy for the BJP to get as many seats as they expect from Bihar, because BJP's agenda, they now say for saying it is abki bar 400 par. So 400 seat is not a joke. So obviously, but it is when and another state, West Bengal. If Mamata, TMC, left and Congress stand together, there is a chunk of minority votes and plus TMC support base. BJP cannot take them lightly. So state-wise, it is going to be an issue. It is not as easy as I'm not saying that BJP thinks it is easy. BJP is not a party which thinks that any election is easy. Even if victory is 100% sure, they will work hard on it. So it is, surprises can happen in election anytime. Did you expect BJP to lose in 2004? None of us expected. Elections are elections, of course, and BJP is a party which is very conscious of this fact all the time.
To talk of agendas and issues, do you think there's a consensus nationwide on majoritarian issues like the Ram Mandir or Kashmir or Article 370, or is it being showcased in a way that it feels like okay, there is consensus there, and with issues like Ram Mandir inauguration that is happening soon, are the opposition members caught in a dilemma where damned if you do, damned if you don't, like damned if you attend the ceremony, damned if you don't?
See, we'll first talk about the consensus. What is consensus? Here BJP is making a consensus in a slightly, they're really muscling its way to it, they're pushing their way to a consensus. What is consensus? Even the consensus which you are talking about, when it comes to, they take this legal route to get it, right? And which will have, of course, will have more acceptance. But do you think it is a consensus? It is not. And what about 370? See, of course, when it comes to this kind of issues, when you set the narrative, BJP is a party, it's very successfully set the narrative. Okay, and what do you do in an election? You set the narrative, you reach out, then you consolidate, right? So BJP is good in these three things. So when you set the narrative and you take the legal route to so-called form quote-unquote consensus, of course, in this kind of issues, it is different. But here in Congress and the opposition made a big mistake, I would say. See, it is, Ram Mandir is not, see, Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid was a political issue, right? Ram Janmabhoomi movement plus Babri Masjid demolition, it was a political issue. If you talk about it, if you take sides to it, there are people who would, not just the Muslims, there are other people also who believe that it shouldn't have happened. Even the BJP leaders said it shouldn't have happened. So it would get traction, at least a section, if not large section, at least But when it comes to faith issue, like the construction of Ram temple is very different now. The way BJP set that narrative that Ram Lalla ke liye humne ghar banaya, like that's a very faith issue. In a country like India, when you are taking up a faith issue, you should not let politics enter into it because you are not going to win it. Especially a party like Congress or any opposition party will not. In this case, the BJP very tactfully made it a political issue by saying that it is not a political issue. And who walked into the trap? The Congress and the other opposition. Now everyone will be, even a middle person, like a person who's standing in the middle will be thinking, what is anyway the temple is constructed, it is legal way, it is God way. If you're taking like very agnostically, Supreme Court has granted, the Muslims have accepted this, and the temple is constructed, the Hindus will want to go, and what is the wrong in it? This is what people will be thinking. So that's what I said. The Congress and the Congress-led opposition failed to keep it aside as a faith issue. They should have said it's a matter of faith. आस्था की बात है, छोड़ दीजिए, and it is not a political issue. They shouldn't have walked into that. They made a mistake of walking into that trap which BJP has set and made it a political issue, and which is helping BJP now.
The result of the last assembly election also showed us that people are now repeatedly reposing their faith in the ruling party, the BJP. So is Hindutva the only agenda that is leading BJP to victories, or is there more to it than meets the eye?
The Hindutva, maybe Hindutva, like when you say Hindutva, most of the people don't see Hindutva issue as as maybe we have seen it like 10 years ago. Okay, the BJP give a different color and tone to that Hindutva issue. Like how they invent issues, and then actually creating an impression of the so-called secularists as the enemies of Hindus. Like I said, that narrative setting it's like BJP is very good with it, and the opposition, not a single opposition party is like in a position to reach to that level in outsmarting BJP in this case. So, like I said, the Hindutva issue itself has a different connotation now. So anything like for example, when I was traveling in UP for last UP election, even to an extent, there are people who would say even law and order issues, the security. अरे हम हिंदुओं को चल सकते हैं रास्ते में. See, it is a law and order issue. It's the safety of a girl child or safety of anybody walking on the road. It's a law and order issue. It is one essential part of good governance and administration. But that also has taken a kind of religious angle. ये मुसलमान सारे छेड़ते थे हमारे बच्चों को, तो अभी हिंदू. I mean, that is where the BJP's smartness is. They give even like I said, they invent new issues. You remember when the Ram temple Ayodhya verdict came out, the first statement from BJP leaders to RSS leaders was, this is that we are not going to take any other issue. Then what is about Gyarmapi and Kashi and Mathura now? Do you think that the BJP would give up? Do you think that the government, the ruling party would not take any step to see that there are now again immediately the narrative was changed. Lord Krishna and Lord Rama have become they are India's identity. They have become Indian. How can you just say that the Lord Krishna doesn't have a temple in the birthplace? See, things have changed. How the language we have heard in August when the Ayodhya verdict came and the language which you are hearing now is very different. And nobody is feeling offended to it, because that is why you are your narrative setting is becoming very effective. So So again, like you said, like the Hindutva issue, everything. Like now, if you say like three issues are going to be in the next election. One is Hindutva, one is development, one is India's international image. And Modi is Hindutva. Modi is international figure, India's like face, who's taking to new glories and development. Also Modi. So Modi has become the symbol of the three key issues in this country. So like that's where and it's not like a BJP did it like overnight or something. They work hard. They have a very clear plan strategy for it, and they roll it out also very meticulously. Tell me which other party works like the BJP works.
Nobody.
So that is what I said. BJP makes it, take the narrative, reach out to people, and consolidate them all. So with consolidation is the most difficult part. It doesn't work as they think. Like they couldn't do it in Karnataka. They couldn't do it in Himachal. Himachal is 90+% Hindus, but still they couldn't do it. So it happens. Though this consolidation it's an election. You need some knack to do that. And so far BJP has done it and succeeded in most of the state, and somewhere it failed also. So we have to see how they are going to.
Also, like I feel the three issues that you mentioned, if everything is taken from a Hindutva angle, now we are developing because there's a Hindutva party in power, or now India's image is better because we have embraced Hindutva, and earlier we were like sort of secular liberal, but now we are global power, or like the world is recognizing us because we have embraced our Hindutva.
No, this Hindutva became a very subtle now. BJP doesn't have to say Hindu now. It goes without saying. So that is why BJP, when the Congress is becoming a failure, whether it was in Chhattisgarh, where Bhupesh Singh Baghel has taken a lot of steps to please the Hindus. Even the hardcore Hindus were very happy with that, and he all the issues very dear to BJP, he has taken it, and he has. Kamala tried the same thing. Why then they couldn't translate that into votes? Because the BJP has become the master. They have mastered that art, and it has become a synonym for Hindutva. And they don't have to say it now. The party doesn't have to say we are Hindus, we are Hindus. 10 years ago, what they did, they don't have to. In this election, you just see how BJP's Hindutva agenda will be unraveling without even without even letting you know. So they don't have to say it. Like I said, in Uttar Pradesh election, to the last election, the BJP, if you look at BJP's campaign, the audio, visual, print, they don't talk about Mandir. They talk about only what we have done for women, what we have done for poor, what we have done for rural agriculture, farmers, youth. This is what. But when the temple is building, and now look at the kind of show, or like the kind of programs which they. Today BJP had more than 2 hour long meeting with hundreds of party workers, party leaders from all small state, and 3 or 4 from the bigger state, with Amit Shah and Home Minister Amit Shah, and the party president JP Nadda took the meeting to how to of course they will say that how we will campaign over Ayodhya temple pre and post inauguration. So basically how the party can make use of it to in if you don't mince the words, this is what the party wants to do. So that's what I said. BJP doesn't have to say Hindutva now. Just goes without saying. They're doing it subtly in every step they are taking.
In the aftermath of the elections, when after the results were out, there were talks of a north-south divide. Is that something you would agree with?
See, Of course, there are one major issue which is coming up, which could create this thing, this north-south issue, and would be the delimitation. Okay, the delimitation 2026 is the the deadline for it. 2026, you have to do the delimitation. So you know how delimitation process is done. The states which have performed in terms of controlling population, and they will lose some seats. You remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech during Telangana election about he mentioned that the South may lose about more than 100 seats. Okay, so then in that, and which will show BJP's this Hindi heartland leniency, because if that happens, if the delimitation happens, and the suppose hypothetically happens, and the southern state loses some seats, and it is heavily you know like lenient to this the northern part of the UP, Bihar, and all those states, then definitely there will be that. And there are parties which want to kind of make use of that emotion also, that sentiment also. Um, and whatever you say, like, why do you think that BJP is not yet been a success in the south? Because somehow the BJP's agenda and BJP's strategies and its own ideology is not yet. I'm not saying it will not yet have captured the imagination of the electorate in the south. Of course, Karnataka was there, but there are other reasons for Karnataka, because they had leaders like BSY who realized that this is the way BJP played politics in the Hindi heartland would not work here. His was a very different approach, and so as long as BJP doesn't have such leaders who can capture the imagination of people cutting across these religious lines and caste lines, it is very difficult for BJP. So then BJP will remain as a party which is in the north. But of course, I'm not saying the party is trying to make a lot of difference. They are trying to approach the southern state differently. They are trying to even this Kashi, the initiative. Prime Minister Modi and the government
Kashi
has
Tamil.
Tamil Sangam and all. So they are trying to get some traction and influence the minds. Of course, there will be people who are, and BJP had some kind of succeeded in influencing, or like at least giving some hopes to the minority, the Christians in Kerala. But because of what happened in Manipur and all, it just watered down. So the party is making effort, and it is tirelessly making the effort, and it will definitely win. And even in the states like Telangana, the party's voting percentage has gone up from 7 to 14. So it's not that it's BJP doesn't want to be known as a northern party. They want to be known as a national party, and it is taking efforts also, and at the ground also they are working. So I am sure the party will succeed in a way, but till then, and in issues like delimitation will definitely have no matter what the Prime Minister say, no matter what the party say, the people in the south definitely have a feeling that this party is the northern party. So far, the BJP has not been able to break that and get into their the minds and influence them so far. But is trying. Let's see.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.